and we have a special guest that we'll introduce to you in a minute. But first, we're going to go back to the show that we had last week, Much to Do, Section Athletes, Much to Do About Nothing. We had the big article and the big debate about Lisa Ann, the porn star, dating the Notre Dame football player, Justin Britt. One of our listeners called in or actually texted in and made a comment, said if that was her son, you'd find him missing it, if she knew she was dating a 42-year-old porn star. But that's kind of what Billy Boy told you anyway. But as we proceed with the show, one of the things that we have each and every week is a segment that we have where we have Peep on the Pros by Rick Brown, the reporter from the Lakeland Ledger. We're going to hear from him, and we're going to go directly into the report that we have from Billy Boy with the locker room rant. So, Rick Brown, take us away. Don't say anything controversial today, Rick.
Hey, thanks, Coach. Hey, what's up, fam? Hey, Coach, I know you're doing backflips because of your Cleveland Browns, but calm down. It was just the Bucs you beat. You got a long season to go. But I want to rap about another one of your teams, Coach, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You may want to leave the room when I, speak this right now. Did you guys see the season opener? I didn't know if I was watching a regular season game, the Florida Classic, or an NBA All-Star game. I mean, they had comedians and rapper Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I know LeBron was back home, but come on, man. The only thing missing was President Obama declaring it was LeBron James' home day. Of course they lost the game. They're probably thinking about all the after parties instead of the task at hand. Can we wait until the championship before all of this pomp and circumstance? That's all I'm saying. Jeez. But that's it for me. Follow me on Twitter at RickBrown91. For insights, I'm Rick Brown. You can come back in now, Coach.
Yeah, I hear you, Rick. What team you got in Tampa? Tell me that.
This your main man, this Billy Boy. What's up, Coach Clayton? I'm coming to you today with the locker room rant. Penn State and Maryland had a game this Saturday. What made the game a little interesting was the fact that when they went out there to shake them hands, which I don't mind a good old handshake, long as you ain't got nothing in it, they ain't wiped it nowhere it shouldn't have been, and then tried to shake hands with me, but that's just something I kind of raised that way. But anyway, they went to shake hands. Maryland wouldn't shake their hand. Penn State stand out there with their hand in there, looked kind of bad, and after a while, they was like, okay, it's on and popping. Well, it was on and popping, all right, because Maryland popped off on them. They upset the boys from Penn State, beat them 2019. They told them it was going down, and that's what happened. It went down. I just love me some college sports, because you can't never tell what's going to happen, and it happened. Woo, woo. That's my locker room rant today. Now, as you handle your business, you handle your business.
Okay, thank you, Billy Boy. He always got something a little different to say. And Rick Brown, I'll see you later. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to interview and have a discussion with Clair Murraine St.Clair. I used to always get his first name as his last name, and his last name as his first name. He's a former boxer, but I guess I was a little taller than him, so he didn't take a jab at me. But we're going to get a chance to talk to him, and we'll find out what's really going on with him. Insights, we're taking a break.
You need to go by the new tuxedo shop in the Tallahassee Mall. Tuxedos by Vince. It fits one and it fits all. It was formerly known as Casinos, but now the name has changed, the location has changed. It's next door to the Burlington Coat Factory. The customer service, the way you treat it, the way you fit it, it hadn't changed. It's still great. If they can fit Coach Clayton and make him look good, they most certainly can make you look good. Tuxedos by Vince. In the Tallahassee Mall, a proud Insight sponsor.
All right, here we go. 6 minutes. Segment 2 in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back, and we have Clair Murraine. He told me not to use this word, but he should have known as soon as he said it, I was going to use it. He's a retired writer, sports writer from the Tallahassee Democrat, and I'm going to let him tell you about himself. But first I have to tell you, he's a former boxer. He told me was on the ballot. He actually votes for the Boxing Hall of Fame. he has a long list of things that he's done, but the writing that he did for Florida A&M University was something that really we remember him for. He really got an inside look on how things are going. But thank you, St.Clair. We welcome you to the show.
Thanks. And not retired. For the record, okay, I want to go beyond this. I had reapplied, re-interviewed for my job. I was told that I didn't come in. That's the long and short of it.
Okay. That's our producer dropping speakers again. That's Jeff Walker. That's why he turned to do stuff like that, because he wasn't athletic. He dropped passes, couldn't catch balls. Now he drops it. He tore up his own speakers. Now he's dropping mine. We're going to have some issues and problems. We keep breaking mine. Okay. But one of the things that we want to do, because you had dropped the damn speakers, we got to start all over. Jeff, you had to do that.
Huh?
Yeah, don't break my speakers now. You broke those.
I'm not going to. I got you.
Are you able to pick him up?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Because we can't. I'm sure they can't hear him on the
What's the
speaker.
reverb though?
Right.
It's a reverb because you're hearing it out of the camera. It's about a millisecond, 2 millisecond delay. But that shouldn't bother you.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Can you hear him as we do here?
Where do you want to pick this up?
Let's pick it up from the start of the segment.
I told you that.
Hold on.
I told you that.
We don't.
No, you just pick it up from the question. And the question to him was.
We'll start over. Let's go, please.
Where do you?
All right, stand by. Pick it up from the beginning of segment 2. All right, 6 minutes. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
And welcome back to Insights. And our guest today is Clair Murraine, former sports writer with the Tallahassee Democrat. A lot of history in terms of what goes on in sports and boxing, which is his love. Clair, if I can get him from stop reading his text messages, you're on TV, man. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mickey. I am so sorry. I mean, my phone stays lit up all day long, so I gotta keep checking.
Let me handle it this way, and we can proceed.
Okay.
Clair, tell me something. You've been able to see a lot of things that go on in athletics and in sports and everything, and right now we're in football. Kind of give us your insight or perspective in terms of some of the issues that are facing colleges with their football programs and trying to get them up to speed. You've been a lot of places, seen a lot of things. And a lot of HBCUs are having problems. A lot of small colleges are having problems. And major colleges. What are some of the things that you've seen that might be consistent with the different programs?
Well, I think the thing is with college football is that it needs to be clearly defined. I mean, are you playing a semi-pro league or is this pure college football? When you look at where college football has gotten to, where there's a playoff system, there's going to be perhaps a lot more changes, bigger changes. So you're going to end up with like maybe 4 or 5 different levels of college football. As far as HBCUs go, that whole system that's rolling out slowly but surely is creating a different kind of, the first challenge HBCUs were just about adjusting to, and this is the situation with desegregation, because back in the day in the 60s and before desegregation, the best athletes were at HBCUs. And I think that part of the problem that HBCU is facing right now is that black colleges didn't respond to desegregation the way they should have. So the whole process has taken, to me, too long to unfold where HBCUs can still be as competitive as they used to be. So the whole issue of college football is deeper than the W's, the X's and O's. I think it goes to the politics of it, if you will.
Now, what do you mean the politics of it? Give me a little bit more
Well,
information.
I think that college football needs to be clearly defined in a way so that people won't be second guessing, you know, where a particular program belongs. You know, because look, with the playoff system, you're gonna see fewer and fewer HBCUs playing the bigger programs because there won't be any need for that. You know, schools are going to be more inclined to play amongst their peers. So those big bucks that HBCUs used to be able to get from playing the big programs, that's not going to be there. So then it becomes more of a political issue in terms of how do HBCU establish themselves within the NCAA to a point where they don't struggle financially. They can see where their money is coming from without having to play a big program.
And even in Insights, that's been something that we've discussed, the guarantee games, the Powerhouse 5 conferences restricting guarantee games to anybody that is not in the Power 5 conference. And Troy State, the Georgia Southerns, a lot of them are becoming concerned with the loss of that income, being able to justify their budget. And to lose $1 million in guarantee games would hurt and cripple a lot of programs. And even in terms of trying to force them to vote along the Power 5 conferences, because if you don't vote along what we won't pay you the guarantee game.
And this is why I said I brought up the issue of desegregation, because HBCUs are where they are now in terms of not being self-reliant or relying on other programs to help pay their way, bigger programs, because like I said, we just didn't respond the right way. HBCUs, black colleges responded the way they should as far as athletics. Once desegregation took place, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 10 years after that, the playing field would have been a little bit level.
Okay, this is Insights. We're going to take a break, and we're going to delve into this a little bit more, some of the program issues that go on in terms of some of our smaller colleges and how they survive financially in athletics, football, basketball, tennis, track. Thank you. Now, if you're looking for tuxedos with all these things going on in the winter and in the spring, you're looking for real nice suits, why do you think of going anywhere other than Tuxedos by Vince? Unless you were thinking of going by Casinos. But you won't find it. It's now Tuxedos by Vince. It's located in the Tallahassee Mall. They fit them all, the big and the tall. Coach Clayton can tell you because he knows you need to follow me to Tuxedos by Vince. They'll handle all your formal wear needs. They'll have you looking really good. That's where you want to go. I'm just telling you, Tuxedos by Vince, Tallahassee Mall, next to the Burlington Coat Factory. Or rather, the Burlington Coat Factory is located next to Tuxedos by Vince.
In 5 seconds, 3, 4, 3, 2.
This is Insights, and we're back again. And one of the things that we want to talk about as we continue this is the small colleges fight to stay alive. You talk about what the intent is, the semi-pro, and if you're just educating students, providing an opportunity for them to participate in intercollegiate athletics. And that was a good point because a lot of schools have a different approach, but they try to use the same approach in terms of how they fund their programs. And the way the Power 5 conferences fund their programs isn't the same as some of the way the smaller schools from the MEAC, the SWAC, it's not the same thing.
Well, see, it all comes down to the brand, the product, which is what you put on the field on Saturdays. And because the recruiting, and again, back to my point about desegregation, don't mean to be beaten to their horse, but had the response been right, black colleges would have been in a position to be able to sell and market it themselves a little bit better. Because I don't think the talent would have been like you have in the bigger programs, but you would have been able to retain some of that to some degree, you know.
And I agree. I think once you seem to have a wealth of talent, you don't really realize that you can actually lose it. And because we've been successful in doing it in the past, we allowed that time to go by. But we look like we follow that model so much, even in terms of expectations of our coaches, the expectations of how they expect things to go. And we do things even in terms of some institutions, even in terms of moving a coach in the middle of the season. And thinking that helps, but oftentimes it doesn't. I remember at one of the HCC schools, Lou Holtz made a comment that when they changed and promoted the defensive coordinator, they won. And his comment was, that just doesn't sound right to me, because why didn't they win for the other head coach? Why did they wait until the defensive coordinator got the head job and then they started playing? He said, that just sounds to me like there was some stuff going on. And as a former coach, that, is something that you would kind of think about. But making a move on a coach with a multiple-year contract in the middle of the season, unless there's a lot of stuff going on inside the program, that just doesn't seem in the smaller colleges that's necessarily a key to success, particularly in terms of doing it at the right time.
Yeah. Well, the Muscamp situation down in Gainesville is a perfect example.
The what now?
The Muscamp situation at Gainesville at UF. Last week it seemed they were going to pull a plug on the guy. Right. They gave him one more game, the biggest game, one that he had not won as a player, as a coach. Right. And he won it. Right. I guess 8 times as a charm. So this changes the perspective in terms of how they are now looking at the season. I mean, when you look at the game itself, just to digress a little bit, you have won that game being one-dimensional. And if a guy could take a one-dimensional program and be the number 6 or number 18, you got to really think again about, when are you going to let this guy go? Because he obviously understands coaching. But yeah, to the issue of the big school, the small school, Mickey.
But on that point that you said, it also shows a loyalty to the program.
Yes.
And it sends a message to other coaches in Florida, let you stay and work through your problems. 2 weeks ago, they said the only way he could keep his job was if he beat Florida and if he beat Florida State. Beat Georgia and beat Florida State. And then he beat Georgia, which stunned everybody. And now he actually has a chance. Who knows what'll happen. But a good athletic director, I learned a long time ago, a good athletic director keeps a short list of replacements for every coach that he has. And if he's going to replace somebody at a certain point, then he's already sent his emissaries out to feel the ground, find out what the parameters of a contract would be, what they would want. And as a former coach, when you hear that, you say, well, if I'm getting ready to get another job, in my mind, I've already lined up my staff. I've already lined up potential recruits that would go with me when I got this job, because I know 6 weeks from now that's a possibility. So you kind of lay the groundwork where you don't necessarily have to do something. And after you kind of have a history of removing coaches in the season, it makes it difficult for you to get an established coach to me.
Well, Mickey, you have to realize the situation at FAMU and some of the black schools that have changed coaches after 1 or 2 seasons is they're not making the revenue. They're not generating the revenue. And that's the bottom line to a lot of things. That's just business. But what has to happen, I believe, is that black schools have to change the culture. Fans of black football or athletic programs can no longer stay outside of the stadium. When your stadium is 20,000, you got 40,000 people outside. That needs to change. People need to start coming to the turnstile, buying tickets, because it's the one way of immediate survival. Everything else has been tried and it didn't quite work. So now let's try to find a way to get the bodies inside of the
stop that with the thought that you're saying. When you have that game, I think we did the wrong thing. We created that game day experience. We created so many opportunities for people outside the game that the game was no longer important. Because they had so many things going outside the stadium, around the stadium.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
Right.
The culture has to change.
Right.
So you got to bring that inside of the stadium, because that's the one way you're going to change the culture.
Right. This is Insights. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back to wrap it up. But thank you for being with us. But we'll be back. Stay with us for our closing.
segment. Thank you. Thank you.
Inside Sports Talk. Inside Sports Talk. Traveling the country for the biggest stories in collegiate sports. Bringing you the news that will impact every college athlete in America. From the Ivy League to the SWAC, Big Sky to the Big Ten, Notre Dame, FAMU, Miami or Maine. No university is too big, no college too small. We tell it all. Inside Sports Talk with
Okay. Ready? In 5, 4, 3.
St.Clair, in your experience in terms of traveling, looking at some of the things that are going on, some of the challenges that face the smaller colleges, tell me some of the positive things that you see when you travel that aren't captured everywhere.
Well, I think there's a sense of loyalty. People come out, but I have to say, I don't know if it's a positive, but you know, there's the next generation. This is indeed a perfect example of a generation gap, because you see it at family, the young people, the students, and I come out, they get in free. The same thing I've seen everywhere else. It's like, you know, the students just aren't coming to support their teams. That's one of the things that I see. The one positive thing that I see a lot is that, you know, at a lot of most of the HBCU venues, they're within neighborhoods, okay? And there is this thing, I mean, for miles around the stadium, you see a little bit of it on Perry Street here, but that's seen on Perry Street. In some cases, I've seen it for miles, you know, leading up to a stadium, you know, there is a game. That's a good positive thing, that people get excited, there's that energy. But again, like I said, that energy needs to move inside of the stadium. Somehow, that part of the culture has to change. It's good. Fans come out to see the bands. There's got to be a way to use that passion for seeing the band to get more people into the games. You know, there are lots of different ways you could do it. I am not a business major by no means, but you know, if you're averaging, like as bad as Miami is doing with attendance, I don't think any of the other NEAC schools come quite as close to getting 7,000 people on game day. I mean, you're seeing it, Mickey. If you see 3,000, that's a lot. You know, it's a lot, even on their homecoming away from here. So there is indeed a situation there, an issue there that has to be fixed. And I think that is more paramount than going out and trying to get corporate sponsors, because corporate sponsors are not going to buy, sell, pay for putting a poster or banner that people got to see if your stadium is empty. So you need to get the people in the eyeballs so that that sponsor could say, well, okay, we got 10,000 people in here, that's 20,000 eyeballs looking at my site. You know what I mean? So that has to change, that part of the culture.
One of the things that St.Clair just commented on, that word loyalty. In HBCU culture, the loyalty for their institutions is something that is pretty much unmatched anywhere. And it's that brand. And as we talk about the generation gap, a lot of the mature and seasoned alumni and supporters make extreme sacrifices to support their athletic programs in terms of the tickets, booster memberships, traveling, hotels, food, and accommodations. And I think that it's paramount that administrations let those voices be heard. Those are the people that come out and spend their money to support the programs. Oftentimes, many places, the students get in free. One of the Big Ten schools, the AD and the president took a plea because of all the empty seats that students were not sitting in. So it's an issue that's confronted by institutions of all sizes, some that win and some that haven't been so successful. But you have to continue to look at different ways to find ways to get your students and your student body and your supporters involved in the program. A lot of things that go on Perry Street and other cities and places very close to the stadium. I remember Florida A&M wanted to close down some of the outside venues, have everybody on campus inside the stadium, and it wasn't met with a lot of support, so people changed. And the people that didn't support it were a lot of people that weren't giving back to the institution anyway. So a lot of times we listen to the wrong voice when we make decisions, but you have to be aware of the history, the legacy of what funds and fuels an institution, because our HBCUs are traditionally very, very loyal people to their institution. They support it, and they give so much of their own money, hard work, and support behind the institutions so that they continue to be successful academically and athletically, so that they'll be able to stand up through the challenges of today. This is Insights. We've had with us today Mr. St.Clair, and we look forward to having him back at another time. We can take some more time and delve into some of the issues and some of the specific cases of things that are going on around among football and college sports and athletics in general. St.Clair, we appreciate you being with us today.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. This is Insights. Stay with us. Come to us again next week.
Hey there, this is Gilda Cobb Hunter, Orangeburg, South Carolina, and I listen to Insight. I encourage you to lock it in and listen every Friday evening. Check out Mickey Clayton on Insights.
Stay up to date with the latest from Insights. Visit our website at insights.com. 2 I's in the middle, INSIIGHTS.com.
Insights is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. The comments of the host and other individual speakers on Insights represent their independent thoughts and representation.